My 23F boyfriend, 24M, judges me for relaxing on the weekends. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year. We both work full-time. I work 48 hours a week, and although it's not a physically taxing job, I'm usually exhausted after work. I also have little to energy on the weekends and can only manage to do chores. I like to spend my weekends relaxing, but my boyfriend thinks that you have to be productive every minute of every day, otherwise, you are just a lazy and unambitious person. For example, I was still in bed at 10 a.m. this morning, and he was judging me for it. I also struggle with depression and anxiety, and sometimes am unable to bring myself out of bed in the mornings. He does not have any mental health issues, nor does anyone in his close circle, from what I know, so he doesn't understand how difficult it is to deal with it. I'm not sure if this is the reason, but I work a basic entry-level office job with a low salary, so maybe he thinks that because I have an easy job, I shouldn't be this tired. I was proud of myself for getting this job because I wasn't even able to work a few years ago due to my mental health issues, but I feel like he's not proud of me or doesn't think should I approach him about this. Tldr, my boyfriend makes me feel bad for relaxing on weekends rather than doing something productive.
Weekends are for lounging. Sounds like you two aren't compatible. I had exes like this. They drove me insane.
Ask him what he thinks you should be doing at 10 a.m. and then tell him he should do it instead. All that whining about what you're doing sounds exhausting. People who don't understand mental health issues really don't get what life is like day to day.
You aren't compatible. Find someone who enjoys resting on the weekends so you can enjoy yourself. This relationship will not be sustainable in the long term.
Since when do people who are together have to agree on everything? My girlfriend is a very active person and I like to spend the days doing nothing sometimes, but she has never made that her own problem, and why would she?
It's okay to relax on weekends. It's okay to not always getting things. Why is this bothering you? Why is what I'm doing with my free time something that upsets you? How is me staying in bed having an impact on you? Why is it that you feel the need to talk to me like this, calling me lazy and other things, just because I'm spending my time the way I want? Are you looking down on me for how I spend my mornings in the weekend? Why? Do you get to define what's the best way to spend time off work? What are you actually worried about? There must be something more than me just relaxing in bed. And if he says things that will make you want to defend, go deeper. Ask why that's an issue, why it troubles him, why he sees it, that then you let him know that it makes you feel disrespected when he calls you lazy. And that you feel you can't be your own person if he's going to decide how you spend your time. Tell him you find this to be an issue and it's not healthy for how this goes. You two might learn some new things about each way. It's not nice to have a person you love calling you lazy.
I don't have much to add except that as an internet stranger who has depression and anxiety, I'm proud of you. You're still getting necessary chores done, and listening to your body and relaxing and resting. Keep killing it, you're doing it exactly right.
Your mental health and well-being are important. It's okay to take some time off to rest and recharge. Your boyfriend needs to be more understanding and supportive of you.
Your boyfriend is a sucker. Hustle culture is toxic and the grind is
greater than. My boyfriend thinks that you have to be productive every minute of every day, otherwise, you're just a lazy and unambitious person. Greater than. He does not have any mental health issues, might not be at the level of something official, but that level of enforced drive still speaks to self-esteem issues or similar. That's not just him being ambitious, that's, if I'm not productive I feel like a bad person, which isn't really a healthy mindset.
Even if you are different, him judging you, being apathetic to your mental health, and the way he is communicating is a real problem. Save yourself years of disappointment and dump him.
My mother was this person, and it gave me a complex about how I spend my downtime when I became an adult that I still find myself fretting over occasionally. And I've been living on my own for over a decade.
My dad's like this. We'll be on vacation and after about 6 hours just start pacing looking for some work to do, and berate you if you don't help with whatever nonsense thing he's gotten himself into. Weekends you had to be up at 7 a.m. or you were lazy. If you have free time, the lawn looks like it could use a third mowing this week. Just like some anxious energy that's great for getting ahead at work, but if you can't turn it off it drives everyone around you insane.
Will never forget the time I was in uni, struggling with physical health issues that were misdiagnosed as just depression and was on meds for it. Also recovering from a foot injury, and because of my health through the year, Had failed a class and needed to take a resit exam in the summer. So I was studying for this guy. The first was sort of seeing knew all of this. In hindsight, I was 100% his manic pixie dream girl he wanted to fix, and had made it his mission to encourage me to go out more and have fun experiences, etc., which wasn't all bad per se. He did help give me a nudge to attend things my social anxiety would usually prevent me from doing, and I was having a good one day. I was just at home, watching a new TV show I just discovered and was enjoying a lot, and I was studying pretty hard for my imminent exam, making study materials, etc. And he texted to ask if I wanted to go to the pub. I said no thanks because I was busy at home. He insisted because it wasn't good for me, and it was a nice day outside so I shouldn't waste it, and basically came by and wore me. I went to the pub, sat and sipped on a Coke, tried to engage, but he kept blathering on about boring ass that wasn't even a conversation topic someone else could jump in on. It was just an info dump, and not an interesting one at that, and the whole time I was just waiting to be allowed to go back home to the studying I had been interrupted from. And he got raging mad because I wasn't good conversation enough and basically threw a tantrum and drove me back home and told me I had no get up and go.
My ex-wife was also like this, and it added so much stress to my life. I'm so much better on my own now.
Greater than weekends are for one to caution you against doing exactly what the boyfriend is doing. Simply at the other end of the and her boyfriend aren't compatible in this regard. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to be productive during the weekends. Weekends aren't for doing one thing in particular. They're for any person to do what they want to do with them. If that is going on 6 a.m. runs for somebody, totally fine. If it's for sleeping in until noon and spending the rest of the day watching Netflix, also boyfriend is an for judging up. Don't do the same as he is, it only makes you an too.
This isn't even a mental health thing. I don't have such issues, but if my partner started nagging me because I like to lie in and do nothing all weekend, I'd tell them to shove it.
Alternatively, find someone who trusts that you know best how you want to use your time and who won't judge you or nag you for it. This type of person could be the 6 a.m. wake-up jam-packed weekend type or the lounging on the couch all day type, and the relationship could still work.
I would say find someone who doesn't feel they need to control how you spend your time. It doesn't have to be someone who enjoys resting on the weekends, it can be someone who's happy to do their own thing while she does hers. I think the lack of compatibility is more about his belief that he can or should tell her what to do, not because they have different energy levels or ideas about how to spend time. They clearly do, but that isn't necessarily a deal breaker.
And ask him, do you equate being busy as being a better person? Why?
It's not necessarily hustle culture. It's not all secondary income and whatnot for all super active people. Don't get me wrong, I am not one of them. But I have friends who constantly wake up at the crack of dawn for long bike rides and other things. Not everyone that doesn't like to lounge around is a hustle culture nut.
My mom's also this way, but then part of me feels bad for her. Maybe she feels she's not allowed to relax and always has to be on the go. Some people are naturally like that, which is fine, but then to put others down for enjoying their time off lounging around, it's sad.
My dad and my grandpa were like this. Grandpa would actually spend a week before we arrived for a visit cutting branches off of trees and leaving them in the massive yard so he could wake us up at the crack of dawn and send us outside to pick them up. He'd spread them out, hide them, toss them on the roof, and then know exactly which ones we missed. Wouldn't let us inside again until he had checked all the places and found no branches. Thanksgiving break at their house was a week of raking and bagging all the leaves their hoa had been complaining about as he'd let them fall and leave them until we came. Winter? Well, we got the snow and shovels. I didn't even know my grandma's eyes were green until I was 12, Gramps kept us running around so much. Dad would wake up at 5 on the weekends, his version of sleeping in, he was up and out the door for work by 4:45, and get us up too. We'd spend weekends at home doing anything and everything he could think of. Yard work, building things, repairing things, going here, there and everywhere. And then when we'd done everything, he'd go to the garage and mix up all the containers of nuts and bolts so we had to sort them back out again if there was light left in the day. When he started working out of the country for months at a time, the feeling of sleeping until 9 on a Saturday felt like the height of luxury. Now as an adult, I take my time on weekends. Nobody can make me do anything. I put my time in at work during the week, have done all of my errands at my own pace. Now I'm gonna relax.
Oh, on weekends, my mum used to open our bedroom doors at exactly 7:30 and start vacuuming. "You're not going to waste the day in bed," was what we always heard. Not that I'm older with sleep issues and my mum is retired, I sometimes call her at 7:30 to remind her to clean the floors.
Right, I had an ex who got up earlier on weekends than weekdays because he was excited. He finally got to do all the things he wanted to do instead of going to work. So we shouldn't judge each other for whatever the other person wants to do.
I wouldn't judge someone for wanting to do whatever they want to do with their own op, and myself weekends are for has an S.O. who wants to judge her about sleeping in. That guy. The issue here is they are not compatible. Why? Because he gives her for doing what works for her. My fiancé and I are opposites. He wakes up early, works out, grabs coffee with friends, on the other hand prefer to sleep in late. The difference between OP's relationship and mine is that in mine neither of us are bothered by how the other person chooses to spend their time, especially in the morning, early afternoon. That's all there is to it.